in the West would regard it as extremely strange to actually build a hut to enable our teenagers to go and have sex.
While you're watching this video right now, somewhere around the world, over 3 million people are being intimate, and roughly 800 couples are getting married.
For 3 days, men transform into living artworks. Their goal? To impress the women who'll judge their beauty, grace, and teeth.
But what happens before those marriages depends dramatically on where you were born. From pain rituals that leave permanent scars to customs involving bodily fluids and extreme tests of endurance, the ways humans pursue love and partnership look radically different depending on which culture you're born into. Some of these traditions might shock you, others might make you laugh, but all of them reveal something fascinating about how societies think about commitment, compatibility, and what it takes to prove you're ready for marriage. What would youth think if teenage girls were encouraged to invite different boys into private huts built specifically for romantic encounters? The love huts of Cambodia. In Cambodia, the Kreyung tribe practices something that would cause absolute scandal in most Western countries. When girls reach their teenage years, their families build them small private huts called love huts or law phats in the local language. These aren't for living in, though. These huts serve a very specific purpose. They're where young women invite boys they're interested in to spend the night. The visits happen repeatedly with different potential partners until the girl finds someone she truly connects with. The boys must leave by dawn, and the whole process continues until she's confident she's found the right match. What makes this tradition particularly interesting is that it doesn't lead to chaos or instability. In fact, quite the opposite. Marriages that result from this practice tend to be remarkably stable and long-lasting. The reason is fairly logical when you think about it. Both partners get to truly know each other before making any permanent commitments. There's no mystery, no buying the proverbial cat in the bag. The young woman has complete control over the process, and she's not pressured into marriage with someone she barely knows. While this tradition might seem shocking from the outside, it's based on a philosophy of informed choice and personal autonomy that the Kreyung believe leads to happier, more compatible partnerships. The sweat-soaked apple dance of Austria. You don't need to travel to distant continents to find bizarre courtship rituals. Right in Europe, Austria has a historical tradition that's both strange and surprisingly intimate. In Lower Austria, young women attending dance events would tuck a slice of apple under their armpit at the beginning of the evening. They'd keep it there throughout the night, dancing and moving while the apple absorbed their sweat. At the end of the event, these women would present the now thoroughly sweat-soaked apple slice to the man they were interested in. And here's where it gets really interesting. The man would eat it. He'd use the smell and taste of the sweat-infused apple to determine whether the woman was compatible with him. The logic behind this bizarre ritual actually has some scientific backing, even if people didn't know it at the time. Human sweat contains pheromones and chemical signals that can indicate biological compatibility. So in a strange way, this apple test was an early, if extremely crude, form of compatibility testing based on natural body chemistry. European birthday rituals for singles. Before anyone starts laughing at Austria, we should acknowledge that Germany and Denmark have their own peculiar traditions that might seem just as strange to outsiders. In Germany, there's a custom called Schachtelkranz for women who reach their 25th birthday without getting married. The word roughly translates to old box, and the tradition involves presenting the unmarried woman with a wreath made from cigarette boxes. The complete length of this wreath must then be walked while drinking, turning the birthday into a public display of her single status. It's meant as lighthearted fun, but it also carries an undercurrent of social pressure to settle down. Denmark takes a similar but messier approach. When a single person turns 25, they're publicly tied to a pole and showered with cinnamon. The idea is that the cinnamon makes them sweeter and therefore more attractive to potential partners. If you're still unmarried at 30, the tradition repeats, but this time with pepper instead of cinnamon. The escalation from cinnamon to pepper reflects the increasing social pressure to marry. These traditions might seem playful, but they serve as public reminders that society expects people to partner up within certain time frames. Scotland's blackening tradition. Scotland has a pre-wedding custom that makes most other traditions look tame by comparison. It's called blackening, and it's based on the saying, "First dirt, then happiness." Friends and family of the soon-to-be married couple ambush them and cover them in various substances. Flour, soot, sugar, and even spoiled fish are thrown at and smeared all over the couple. They're then paraded around the community in this filthy state. The origins of this tradition lie in the belief that it wards off evil spirits and prepares the couple for any difficulties they might face in marriage. The logic is that if you can endure this humiliating and disgusting ordeal together, you can handle whatever challenges marriage throws at you. It's a test of patience, humor, and the ability to weather embarrassment as a team. While it looks absolutely chaotic and unpleasant from the outside, many Scottish couples actually embrace the tradition as a bonding experience. Crocodile scarification in Papua New Guinea. In Papua New Guinea, young men of the Chambri tribe undergo one of the most painful coming-of-age rituals in the world. It's called crocodile scarification, and it's exactly as intense as it sounds. To prove they're ready for marriage and capable of enduring pain for their future partner, young men subject themselves to hours of cutting. Skilled practitioners make hundreds of precise cuts across the men's chests, arms, and backs. These cuts are arranged in specific patterns designed to resemble crocodile scales. There's no anesthesia, no pain medication, nothing to dull the agony. The ritual can last for hours, and the men must endure it without complaint. While the cutting happens, elders tell stories about crocodiles, which are sacred animals in Chambri culture. The scars that result are permanent and prominent, marking the man as someone who has proven his strength and readiness for the responsibilities of marriage and family. The ritual serves multiple purposes. It's a test of pain tolerance, a spiritual connection to their sacred animal, and a visible demonstration to potential partners that this man can endure hardship. In a culture where physical resilience is highly valued, these scars become badges of honor. Indonesia's Thorn Fighting Festival. Not far from Papua New Guinea, Indonesia has its own painful tradition for proving devotion. The Usaba Samba Festival features ritualized duels, where young men fight each other using thorny pandanus leaves as weapons. These aren't gentle symbolic touches. The men genuinely strike each other with these thorny branches, which leave painful cuts and scars. The whole point is to demonstrate bravery, pain tolerance, and devotion. Women watch these duels, and young men compete knowing that their performance could determine their romantic prospects. The willingness to endure pain and the scars that result are seen as attractive qualities. It shows you're tough, brave, and willing to suffer for what you want. Like many pain-based rituals, this tradition connects physical endurance with emotional readiness for the challenges of partnership and family life. The Himba's radical hospitality. The Himba tribe in Namibia practices something that challenges Western notions of relationships and hospitality in profound ways. When honored guests visit a Himba community, the men of the tribe may offer their wives to these guests as a sign of trust and deep friendship. If the wife is also agreeable, she may spend time intimately with the guest. This isn't forced or coerced. Both the husband and wife must be willing participants. To outsiders, especially those from cultures with strict monogamy norms, this seems absolutely shocking. But within Himba culture, it operates under completely different assumptions about marriage, sexuality, and what it means to honor someone. The practice demonstrates ultimate trust, because you're sharing something deeply personal with someone you respect. It's also about hospitality taken to its most extreme form. The Himba see this as a way of incorporating guests into their community in the most profound way possible. The 3-day bathroom ban in Borneo. On the island of Borneo, the Tidong people have a wedding tradition that tests the resolve of newlyweds in an extremely unusual way. For 3 full days after their wedding ceremony, the newly married couple is not allowed to use the bathroom. They cannot wash themselves, and they absolutely cannot use the toilet. Family members stand guard outside their room to enforce this rule. The belief behind this bizarre custom is that using the toilet during these first 3 days would bring terrible luck. The Tidong believe it could cause infertility, bring general misfortune to the marriage, or even result in the death of one of the partners. To make the 3-day ordeal possible, the couple eats and drinks as little as possible beforehand and during the period. It requires incredible self-control and physical discomfort. But that discomfort is precisely the point. The Taidong believe that enduring this challenge together strengthens the bond between the newlyweds and prepares them for the hardships they'll face as a married couple. What happens after those 3 days is left to your imagination, but it's probably a relief beyond measure. France's toilet bowl. Toast. France has its own toilet-related wedding tradition, though it's considerably less extreme than Borneo's. It's called pot de chambre, which translates to chamber pot. On the wedding night or during the reception, guests prepare a mixture of chocolate and alcohol that they present to the newlyweds in a chamber pot or toilet-shaped vessel. The couple must then eat or drink this concoction in front of everyone. The brown mixture intentionally looks unappetizing, adding to the humor and slight disgust of the moment. The tradition is supposed to give the couple strength and stamina for their wedding night. While it might have once been performed with actual chamber pots, modern versions typically use decorative vessels that simply resemble toilets. It's become more of a lighthearted, slightly embarrassing ritual than anything truly disgusting, but it still carries the spirit of testing the couple's ability to face uncomfortable situations together. The Wadabe Beauty Contest. In Niger, the Wadabe people practice something that completely reverses typical gender roles in courtship. Their annual Garawal festival is essentially a week-long beauty pageant for men. Young Wadabe men spend hours preparing themselves, painting their faces with elaborate designs using ochre, coal, and lime. They decorate themselves with feathers, beads, and ornaments. Then they dance for hours in the scorching heat, all while trying to display their best physical features. They roll their eyes to show off the whites, flash their teeth to display their brightness, and move their bodies to showcase their height and musculature. Here's the crucial difference from most courtship rituals. The judges are all women. Single women from the tribe watch these displays and choose which men appeal to them most. The men who perform well at the Garawal festival dramatically increase their chances of finding wives. It's a fascinating inversion of the more common pattern where women are typically the ones judged primarily on physical appearance in courtship contexts. The festival can last up to 7 days, with multiple rounds of dancing and evaluation. China's chicken liver fortune-telling. In some regions of China, couples determining their wedding date don't consult calendars for meaningful anniversaries or check weather forecasts. Instead, they practice a form of divination involving chicken livers. When a couple needs to select a wedding date, they slaughter a young chicken and remove its liver. They then examine the liver's appearance carefully. If it looks healthy and regular in shape, that's considered a good sign, and they might proceed with their preferred date. If it looks sad, irregular, or somehow inauspicious, they must choose a different date. Where it gets interesting. If the couple doesn't like the date that the chicken liver suggests, they can simply slaughter another chicken and try again, and another, until the oracle produces a date that suits their preferences. While this might seem completely arbitrary and wasteful, it serves a purpose within the cultural context. It provides a traditional framework for decision-making while ultimately allowing the couple to get the outcome they want. Plus, all those chickens at least provide meals rather than going to waste. Some of these rituals involve pain, others involve strange foods or bodily fluids, and some completely challenge our assumptions about relationships and autonomy. What's fascinating is that despite their radical differences, they all serve similar purposes: marking transitions, testing compatibility, demonstrating commitment, and gaining community approval for partnerships. Whether through enduring scarification in Papua New Guinea or eating sweat-soaked apples in Austria, humans have created countless ways to prove they're serious about love. These traditions remind us that what seems normal in one place can seem absolutely bizarre in another, and that there's no single correct way to approach romance and commitment.